the first time in more than 3 weeks, hundreds of people waiting at the border between Gaza and Egypt are being allowed to leave.
The development comes amid a fierce Israeli bombing campaign. For the second time in as many days, the IDF airstrike hit a refugee camp in Gaza, claiming that there are Hamas targets still in that area. Erica Sargent is here. She's monitoring the very latest on the conflict. Erica?
Jim and Marie, more than 8,700 Palestinians and 1,400 Israelis have died in the war so far. And with Israel intensifying its campaign on the ground and in the air, civilians, including about 400 U.S. citizens, can't get to safety soon enough.
Hundreds of Palestinians holding dual citizenship left Gaza Wednesday, including some Americans crossing the Rafah border into Egypt. Ambulances filled with dozens of injured Palestinians were also allowed to leave. Headed into Gaza, more humanitarian aid, though health officials say the supplies are still just a fraction of what's needed for the millions of civilians living in the Hamas-controlled territory, which has been almost completely cut off since the brutal terror attack on Israel last month. The humanitarian breakthrough comes as Israel intensifies its military operations in Gaza. The Israel Defense Forces released video of its Air Force and Navy assisting ground troops. Hamas says Israeli missile strikes on the northern Jabalia refugee camp killed and injured dozens of civilians. Israel says the strikes killed dozens of Hamas fighters, including a senior commander, and destroyed a tunnel complex. In Jerusalem, mourners gathered for the funeral of one of at least 16 soldiers Israel says have been killed since the start of ground invasion. While in Tel Aviv, sirens warned of incoming rockets, sending Israelis running to shelters. Israelis we spoke to say every day is a struggle with the heartbreak and anxiety war brings.
You have to take a deep breath to fill the lungs with breath, with air.
To feel life.
To feel life, to go on.
Local markets here are much emptier than usual as Israelis try to find their own way to live through a war they've been told will be long and difficult.
We also learned today that Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit Israel and Jordan on Friday. It comes amid a tense diplomatic situation. Jordan, a key U.S. ally, recalled its ambassador from Israel Wednesday and told Israel's ambassador to stay out of the country, angry that Israel has so far refused calls for a ceasefire. Jim and Marie.
Erica, thank you. We'll see you at 5.
News of some movement getting foreign nationals out of Gaza does come as very welcome relief to longtime Chicagoan John Rauschenberger.
His daughter Emily has been trapped there with her husband and 5 children since October 7th. Those October 7th attacks by Hamas. They were visiting her husband's family at the time.
She said people are very frustrated, but she said at least, Dad, they're moving forward and people are getting out. And to my daughter's credit, you can tell when you talk to a child, she was under control and focused.
More on when the family may be able to leave and their hopes for other Americans. That's ahead at 5 o'clock.
Lawmakers in the House are meeting tonight to write a bill that would provide aid for Israel in its fight against Hamas. New House Speaker Mike Johnson is pushing for his proposal of a standalone bill, but his plan is facing resistance. Mitch McConnell opposes Johnson's plan to separate Israeli aid from Ukraine, Taiwan, and border security. And Democrats don't like how Johnson is proposing paying for the aid to Israel by cutting funding to the IRS.
I'm just speaking for myself. I think we need to address all 4 of those areas in a credible way.
House Republicans are asking a price for helping them by cutting off funding that holds rich tax cheats accountable. That ain't happening.
Chuck Schumer is urging the speaker to start over, saying a bipartisan deal is the only way forward.